Day 2 of the first week of James, and we're starting in chapter 1, verse 12. Blessed is a man who perseveres under trial, for once he's been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him. No one is to say when he is being tempted, I'm being tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted by evil, and he himself does not tempt anyone. But each one is tempted when he is carried away and enticed by his own lust. Then, when lust has conceived, it gives birth to sin. And sin, when it has run its course, brings forth death. Do not be deceived, my beloved brothers and sisters. Every good thing given and every perfect gift is from above, coming from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shifting shadow. In the exercise of his will, he gave us birth by the word of truth, so that we would be a kind of first fruits among his creatures. Okay, let's talk more about day 2 of week 1. I put on a different hat, so you know I'm doing a different day. What do you think of that? Okay. I just want to say I am so thankful that I got to meditate on this section, because it is so amazing, and there was so much more depth here than I've been appreciating. So really excited about this conversation with you guys. And I want to talk about the part where he says that lust, this is from the NASB, or the NLT, New Living Translation, said desire, that lust or desire gives way to sin, and when sin has run its full course, it gives way to death. So here's an interesting thing that I did with this, and I would really recommend this, you guys. This is a really powerful meditative exercise. And it's this: take your paper and draw 3 columns and label your left column lust, label your middle column sin, and label your right column death. And then what I did was I looked back through my last 24 hours to try to identify times where I had noticed sin in my life, like sinful thoughts or sinful attitudes. So when you're trying to do this, you can look, one thing that can help you to find them, often for me, is negative emotions. They're often a red flag that I've got some sinful mindset or mind pattern going on. So that could be anxiety and fear, or anger, or irritation, or annoyance, or sadness. I don't know if sadness counts or not. I can't think of other negative emotions. You guys know what I'm talking about though, okay, right? So you can use those as alerts and to help you identify times in the last 24 hours. I like to do this working backwards. Like I would start right now and think, okay, what happened right before I did this, and what was before that? Because the recency helps. I'm probably more aware of the more recent, and I can remember it better than trying to work back chronologically through yesterday. So after you identify any sinful attitudes or behaviors, you put those in the middle column where sin is. Now then, on the left column is your lust or desire. So this is what I found so brilliant about the scripture, is that, to me, this gets into our asking why question that some of us have done together, and I can try to remember to put a link on my website for that. If I forget the link, just go to Colored Carnations, Spiritual Practices. It's under, asking why is going to be under reality check, I think it's called, is the tab underneath that. And you'll find asking why. Sorry, there's no search engine on the website. The website builder that we use does not provide that option. I wish it did. So, okay, asking why. So this is what's interesting. If you find a sinful pattern in your life, it's often very helpful to dig in at what's underneath that. And often it's like peeling back layers of an onion of like, what is it that I love or desire or that gives me significance that made me interested in doing that sin? Like, what is my, Timothy Keller would call it, my inordinate love, something that I love more than Christ, or something that's getting in my way of loving Christ. So that's a great place to dig into your asking why there. And then on your right column, the one that's labeled death. So where James says that when the sin has run its course, it will end in death. So now imagine playing that sin out in your life, and how would this lead to death or destruction, which is the path towards death, right, in your life? So okay, hang on. Okay, now I'm gonna give you an example. So self-disclosure here. No, it's okay. You guys have to know that I've got sin in my life, right? But God is helping me with that. So one of the sins that I noticed in my last 24 hours was a time where I was resenting interruption. I was working hard and focused, and someone came into my zone and interrupted me in our house. And I didn't, it was just an internal reaction, but I just had kind of an internal reaction of like, I kind of wish I was going back to work right now on whatever my project is here. And so that was my sin, was resenting interruption. And then the lust or the desire that I was looking at underneath that would be, a desire for productivity. That's my first layer of the onion, because I just love being productive. I love working and stuff. So that would be the first layer I would pull. And then I would say, okay, well, why do I want to be productive? And then, if I keep pulling back layers, it comes to ambition. It comes to wanting to achieve and accomplish. It comes to caring what people think about me. And related to that would be a sense of self-importance. So those are some of the lusts or the desires that would be underneath interruption. And then death, if this sin runs its course in my life, if I, instead of surrendering that and replacing that, shattering that attachment to self-importance, if I nurture that and lean into the sin part of that, then what that will look like is distance in my relationships with the people that I love. Let's see, I also wrote a broken connection that's related to the distance. And then not showing value to people who are important to me, who I do value, but then in a way I'm not valuing them because I'm really valuing my own self more than them. So then that's not good for me or for them, for me to not value them. So let's see, is this fun for you? Do you want another one? I can read you another one. Okay. So this morning I was looking at some of my analytics on, I think it was on my webpage. I don't remember if it was a webpage or the YouTube channel, regardless. And I realized that when I was looking at those, I was looking at them with a self lens, like basically thinking about, I didn't really have a Jesus lens on. I just had a like, ooh, how's my stuff doing, And this, to me, the lust and the desire that tied into this was similar. It was also a desire for self-importance or for what people would think of me. And if I were to continue to go down that path and not to allow Jesus to shatter that attachment to self-importance and to shatter that spirit of self-ambition, the death that I would be experiencing would be the destruction of goodness at the altar of my ego. Oh yeah, right, exactly. That God could be working goodness through my work, but I'm making it about my ego. And so instead of having his goodness, I'm putting up an altar to myself. Ugh. And then another part of death is that I get separated from God in that moment when I'm just thinking about myself and not thinking about this all being from him and about him and for him and through him and in him. It's just all him, right? And then another aspect of death is that when I do things for selfish ambition and not in the spirit of Christ, that I continue to become a less trustworthy vessel for him to put his power into. Because if he's given me anything and I use it in my own heart to glorify myself, why would he give me anything more? I wouldn't if I were him. What am I going to use it for? I'm going to use it for what I've already used what he gave me for, which is self-ambition. Oh my goodness. There's a girl walking out of the high school in a Woody hat. There she goes. Did you see her? It's a red hat. Watch. It's so cute. There it is. Little levity to break up the seriousness there. So anyways, I highly recommend that you try that right now. I mean, you can even pause and do this or do this later when you have a moment. Those 3 columns. It's a great way to have a different lens even on the self-examine. If any of you guys do the examine, which is a daily review of your day with Christ, you know, you could, or if you don't, you definitely don't need to do the examine to do this, though. It is a very powerful experience. And then I ended my time with some time of contemplation, meaning just contemplating the goodness of God. And so here's some notes from my meditation of just flinging my whole self into your goodness, absorbed in your light, that you are trustworthy and you never change. So it was talking about all good gifts coming from the Father of lights. And so as I just sat, it took a few moments just to sit and soak in that. I was imagining either, like, you know, those the trees that have the little pink flowers in spring, and when sometimes a big gust comes, like a whole bunch of those flowers will blow off. I was just imagining those flowers just like blowing all around me, like his goodness all around me. Or another analogy is like a disco ball. Like, you know how a disco ball, I'm thinking here of the Father of lights, a disco ball having like all the little lights that shine, you know, imagine like all these lights shining around you and you're just in it. You know, I don't know if either of those imageries work for you, but it really is just the sense of soaking in his goodness and the liberation that he is offering us from the life that we're living where our choices are leading to death. So, Jesus, we praise you.